all ramped up. Cohort talk. She actually used to be a big pharma rep and is now helping spread the word about the same protocol that I'm using. You guys were talking about all of the health issues above and more, and the fact that almost all of the disease and disorder that we have today that's causing people issues starts with our diet, starts with what we're putting in our face and the food that's available to us, and the fact that it's causing too much sugar in our system, too much insulin in our system, and we're getting sick as a result. And so what happens? You go to the doctor, you get a medication. It was interesting listening to her as a diabetes educator and a former big pharma rep talk about how they have a plan. So you start off on a single therapy like metformin, and you start going to a dual therapy, then you go to a triple therapy, then you go to a quad therapy. Now you're on 4 medications for your diabetes, and then they start transitioning you to injectables. You're not getting better, you're getting sicker, but you're spending more money on medications, making them richer while you get sicker. Wow. I can't, it just blows my mind. You guys, everybody gets to make a choice. I chose not to do it with medications. I chose to understand that the good Lord gave us food. We're abusing it. We've modified it from what He gave to us, and now we're getting sick. And so no amount of medication is going to help that. Debbie, I'm going to call you after this live. I was just on some other tasks, and then I'm actually late getting here. But yeah, we'll talk today. So you guys, please understand that when we talk about all of these things up here, weight gain or the inability to lose weight, having body aches and pains, fibromyalgia, bone loss, muscle loss, arthritis, all of these things, because I'm on a kick for aging this week, it all links into insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is simply our food converting to energy too quickly in our body because it's been stripped of things that we need in it. I talk so much about all the problems. I don't talk enough about the answers, so I want to make sure I do that a little bit more this afternoon. What's happening is fibers and nutrients are stripped out of our food. When we're eating boxed cereals and a number of things like that, it's turning into sugar too quickly. Again, it's creating so much insulin that you get sick. We've got to stop eating so many processed foods, eating all the time. I was actually on the phone with a client this morning, and they've had good results. They have better energy. They have better mental clarity. They've lost some weight, but they're not getting the results they want. So we sat down and went over kind of like what they're eating in the day, and it was pretty clear right away what was happening because their first meal was like toast and peanut butter, and their next meal was like a salad or some fruit juice or maybe some fruit, some things like that. How many of you guys think that salads, fruit juice, and fruit are healthy? I have something in the palm of my hand. That's insane. I was doing stuff. Obviously, I didn't wash my hand before I came on. Okay, so that's the way it goes around here. So those are not healthy things. I talk about all the time, you guys. I do want to encourage people to get rid of the fruit juice. We just don't need to drink fruit juice. It's not healthy for us. It's not helping you get better. It's in no way doing you good. You have fructose that's removed from the fiber that it needs to slow down how that digests in your system. And what's happening is it's causing a load on your liver. So this week with aging, I've been talking about how this thing called insulin resistance causes muscle loss. And when you have the biggest organ, one of the biggest organs, that's not the intestines are actually the biggest one, but then you have all of this muscle tissue. Intestines, by the way, are muscle, but that's the most insulin user in our body, and it's resistant to the energy that we're taking in. We start losing muscle. I'll be doing a video today on exactly how that happens, and now we start to have failing health. So most people are not understanding that muscle in the body is not just about the skeletal stuff that makes you move, that gets you going, that does all the heavy lifting and stuff. Your heart is a muscle. Your liver is a muscle. Your kidneys are a muscle. Your intestines are a muscle. All of those are muscle tissue. So there's skeletal muscle and then there's organ tissue muscle. And if your muscle tissue is resistant to insulin and not producing properly, now we start having problems throughout the body. Can you guys see that? And now good afternoon, Janice. Now we have a mind that's cueing us to store excess fat around those muscles that are weak. And so when I say the visceral fat is choking off those muscles, causing liver damage, kidney damage, bladder damage, stomach damage, gastroparesis, or paralysis of the gastrointestinal tract. All of this stuff happens through a number of ways, but the muscle is not able to utilize protein properly because of it's resistant to getting the proper cues from insulin, which it needs in order to do this process, and then we're sick. So guys, if you're having problems with any of these, drop a note in here, let me know what's going on with you. And I want to invite you to understand, so my friend that I was just listening to used to work for Big Pharma and now understands now that she found this system. So she spent years studying all this stuff, going to doctors, helping them understand what they needed to give you as far as medications. She doesn't do it anymore because this simple system that I'm going to show you guys in a minute has helped more people with their diabetes than any of those drugs she used to peddle. That's powerful. We already have doctors prescribing them this. We have big pharma reps, former big pharma reps who are actually starting to rep this because it's a healthier, safer way. And they're actually having people calling them back and thanking them because their health is getting better instead of being put on more medications. So stock market secrets. Hey, good to see you. So acid reflux, sleep apnea, bloating, and low energy. Can we go over some of those things? Let's tackle acid reflux. So one of the things that's happening with acid reflux, guys, we have this muscle in our esophagus that helps keep all of those. We have a lot of acids in our gut. How do you think we break food down and get it into the usable pieces that we need? Our gut is this acid factory. It's very acidic, and it should be. But when we start having problem is the overproduction of acids in those, where it starts to eat up the lining of the gut, and when that acid starts to leak up into the esophagus. So it's actually, instead of this little gateway shutting off when you eat so that those acids stay down in the stomach, it's forcing its way back up because this muscle is relaxed and a little bit paralyzed. And so now some of those acids are forcing their way up and spewing up into your esophagus. How does that happen? Well, with insulin resistance, not only are we having problems building proper muscles, we're having problems with nerve pathways. Those are what's telling your stomach to contract and get the acid out the other side. So in the absence of the stomach being able to contract like it should and passing those acids out along with the food, it comes back up in your esophagus as acid reflux. So Janice is saying she had acid reflux for 7 years. She's been on the system for 2 months and it's gone. And 9 months, in 2 months, her acid reflux was gone. And now in 9 months, her IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, is also gone. So how many of you guys, it's not a pleasant topic, we're going to address some of the other things, have problems with maybe you have diarrhea all the time, or you get super constipated and bloated and it's just painful and you're like, oh my gosh, is this ever going to go through me? That's IBS. It can actually go either way. So it's not just one or the other. Some people with IBS swing between severe constipation and severe diarrhea, and it's a miserable existence. I was one of them, okay? I always complained and said it was native gut because we have those issues. Part of it's because we're not genetically adapted to the food we eat. Dr. Bickman talks about it. Dr. Giles Yao talks about it. So there is some of that. Some ethnicities are more prone to this insulin resistance than others. Latin Americans, Native Americans, and then Black people, and then actually Chinese or Asian people are more prone to insulin resistance than Caucasians. Okay, your systems have adjusted. Plus, Native Americans and Latin Americans were hunter gatherers. So, an interesting thing. I'm off on a little tangent. I promise it'll be brief. One thing that I find is interesting with Latin Americans, Native Americans, is that we have this superpower, if you will. We don't always see it that way. You'll see us be like all chubby, roly-poly, stocky, right? Well, when we, as a human history, we were hunter-gatherers. We were very active, out getting our food and gathering it up, and we had times of feast, and so we would load up on food, get really chunky, right? So our fat cells are really adept at taking energy in, because then in the wintertime when food is more scarce, we're utilizing that energy. So we're also really good at fasting. You guys, fasting is not the devil. It's actually our bodies were built for this, and we should be doing it. With my genetics, I should be fasting more often for my body to function properly. The problem has been we have food 24/7. Eat every 2 hours. Oh, have a snack. Oh, have a this, have a that, and then we're sick. And the wisdom teeth we don't use, I had to have them removed. They were like causing me so many issues. So Jenny says that her system cleared her gut issues. The protocol I'm going to show you guys cleared her gut issues in 3 weeks. Marie says she has many of the problems on the list, but also unemployed and can't justify paying for services. So Marie, here's the thing. I have a number of people. I'm going to have my daughter and another one of my cohort and I talk about the business side of this later, because I was there. I had diabetes. I could no longer work in medical clinics. I couldn't be on my feet. My legs were failing me. I had a walker cane. I thought my life was like downhill, and I was driving for Lyft and Uber because it was the last frontier for me to have income. And my whole life is turned around. So I'll be talking about that later. I don't know what day we're going to do it because I'm trying to prepare all of that. But if you're just interested in that and how you can start maybe turning that part of your life around and paying for your protocol, let me know, because I need to be aware that more people need that. So Jenny has lost 15 pounds and kept it off since August. So Jenny, do you mind, did you have labs that were saying you were diabetic and that you had issues? Because I'd love to be able to share that with people. If you're up for that. You guys, I never share stories of people who don't want me to share them. I have so many more stories, and some people are just like, I don't want to tell everybody. I don't want anybody to know, and I get it, so I don't share those. I have people who are like, yeah, go ahead and share my story, just don't share my name. I honor that. So you've been pre-diabetic. So you guys understand that insulin resistance is pre-diabetic, okay? So we're going to go really quick because I want to keep this as simple as possible. We eat too much. We eat modified and manufactured foods. It turns into energy in our system too quickly. That energy is sugar in our bloodstream. When we have high amounts of sugar in the bloodstream, anything over 1 teaspoon in your bloodstream will cue your body to produce a hormone called insulin. When we're cueing this hormone all the time, then we have this thing called hyperinsulinemia, or too much insulin. That then over time becomes insulin resistance. Over time, insulin resistance becomes pre-diabetes. Then that becomes diabetes. So this is all linked in, and there's a person who's on a tear today trying to mess with everybody. You guys, metabolic syndrome should just be called insulin resistance, because that's where it starts. You don't get to metabolic syndrome without insulin resistance being there first. Hey, Amory. So Jenny, I would love to know what your new blood work shows. Yeah. If you want to, there's in my profile up here, you guys, there is a place where you can get a hold of me on WhatsApp. I'm more than happy to talk with people. And if you have stories to share, I would love to be able to share them out with other people so that everybody can get the help and understand that they don't need to be on medications to get healthy, especially from, and the one thing I'm talking about is a a dietary disorder called insulin resistance. So Dr. Jason Fung, who has helped many, many people overcome diabetes, says you cannot cure a dietary disorder with medication, and that's what we're talking about. So why are doctors giving out metformin and Trulicity and Truvia and Ozempic and any of the semaglutides and Mounjaro? Because they're damaging you by those drugs. If you guys want to know a little bit about that, I'm not the pharma rep that some of my friends are, but I have enough information. 2 of my family members, by the way, were big pharma reps. I worked in medical offices and saw the reps coming in. I understand how this works. So why am I talking about this instead of over on one of the pages pushing Mounjaro? Because I want you to get better. I don't want you to get sicker. Those people are telling you, yeah, go lose some weight. This is great. You take a shot once a week and you start losing all this weight, but they don't tell you you're killing off your liver. They don't tell you you're killing off your kidneys. They don't tell you it's overloading your pancreas. They don't tell you you can end up with heart or thyroid problems. They don't tell you you're losing muscle mass to get that weight loss. And now you're even more unhealthy than you were when you started. Okay. So, you'll cry happy tears when you see 299. Your recent weight was 331. You're going to get there, honey. 5'6". That's the same height I am. And A. Marie says her triglycerides dropped from 247 to 86 in 6 weeks using the system. So that's amazing, A. Marie. I don't think I've ever caught that story of yours, and I need to spend more time talking to you. You are so amazing. All right, so is this a book? It's not a book. The protocol is simply 2 different products that I use at 3 points during the day that address all of these issues by addressing the root cause. Thank you, A-Marie. Now, there's a book that I talk about, and we're gonna switch back and forth, and then I'm gonna talk to you about the system. So the book that we all talk about, Why We Get Sick, one of the top metabolic scientists in the world. He was going into a different field, and he was like, wait, we are not addressing metabolism. And when he started doing his studies, he realized that the metabolism is causing, or the dysfunction of our metabolism is what's causing people to be so sick today. And so he dove in to metabolic studies, and he now teaches metabolism and the science of it. That's his book, Why We Get Sick. If you go to my page, there's my recommendations. You can order the book in there. But that's just one of the doctors talking about it. Amory, thank you. My story was crazy, you guys, though. I feel like, I'll share it in a minute, but my story was, I feel like I went through all of those things so that I would get better from all of those things. So I would start to figure out why all of this, because everything on this list, every single thing on this list except for erectile dysfunction, I suffered with, and I no longer do. I'm no longer diabetic. I no longer have hypertension. I no longer have a walker or a cane or disability plates. I can run up and down stairs now that I couldn't do before. I go on long walks every day. I can get up and down off the floor. I was at Cub Scouts last night with my grandson. They were doing some stretches before walking, and I was able to get down on the floor and do the stretches, maybe not as perfectly as I could at 20, but I could do it, whereas 2 years ago I couldn't. So the system, guys, I've had some questions with it. On Facebook and YouTube, I'm going to give you a link to get to my my info, okay? And then over here on TikTok, you guys just want to go to my profile picture and tap on that. It's going to open up my profile. There are some red light symbols in there, and underneath of that is a link. Click on the link. There's also the first pinned video in my profile on TikTok shows you how to get to that. So then when you get there, what we're looking at is this, okay? The system, the protocol is this. It's a tea that I have in the morning. I'll give you guys 6 simple steps that I utilize alongside of this, and we'll go from there. So the one who said you couldn't afford this, go download my ebook. That will help you. A tea in the morning. Why the tea in the morning? Because I am doing some time-based eating. We're eating too much. We just don't need this much food. So we're eating too much. I have a tea in the morning. It shuts down my hunger, gives me mental clarity and energy. Brain fog, bye-bye. The depression, the anxiety, the panic attacks I was having, bye-bye. Within the first week, I saw success with that part of my story. So all of that went bye-bye. But more than that, This helps with strength and training, endurance during training by 10 to 13%. We have a world champion powerlifter on our science team, Dr. Mike Saunders, and he utilizes the system himself to help keep him at optimal performance during training. We have a number of athletes, Vladdy Jr., we have soccer teams now who are utilizing it. We have boxers utilizing it. We have a number of different athletes across the world who are utilizing the system because it's helping them stay lean, it's helping them build more muscle mass, it's helping them have energy, it's helping them with their endurance during strength and training, which only helps their performance on the field. So, tea in the morning, before I eat anything, I have this pre-meal drink that goes in. It's a matrix of 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers, some phytosterols or plant substances, and a panel of vitamins and minerals that are all put together to address your metabolism. So when I drink that pre-meal drink before I eat anything, 10 minutes before, it goes into my gut. It starts to gel up and create this thick gel matrix that swells up, first of all, so now I'm not as hungry. Okay, don't want to eat as much, less likely to overeat. But then, as I do eat, what it's happening is it's encapsulating the food that I eat, so it's slowing it down. It's like a prophylactic or a protective barrier sitting in the bottom of your gut before you take food in, so that that food is not just rushing right through you and causing these sugar and insulin spikes that we have. So now it's filling me up sooner, it's slowing down the delivery of those sugars and fats into my system, but it's also slowing down the delivery of the food so I stay fuller longer. I'm not having breakthrough hunger. I'm not having these times where you eat and you feel like you're full, gotta unbuckle your pants because you're so full, but then a half an hour later you're like, what's in the cupboard? I'm hungry. That's insulin resistance, by the way. If that's the response you're having to food, that's insulin resistance. If you're feeling tired after you've eaten, that's probably insulin resistance. If you feel like you've had goosebumps, you're cold, you just want to lay down and sleep after you've eaten, and you're hungry all the time, even if you've just eaten, insulin resistance. And what's happening? It's because we have imperfect food. Things like fibers have been stripped from our food, and it takes a multitude of fibers to do the things we're talking about. It's not just one fiber. Those canisters that you get in Walmart or Walgreens with one type of fiber or 2 types of fiber, they're not scientifically designed to do this, nor will they do the job that this does. So it takes a variety of fibers, and we have a specific matrix that allows us to regulate these blood sugar spikes. So this one packet that you guys get by just going to my profile, tap on that link, and then when the next page opens up, when you see the link, the red lights, there's a link under that. You go to the next page, the very top option is where you're going to order this. And if you have questions, ask me. But this fiber matrix, it helps you just feel full and slow down all of that sugar delivery. It can help reduce a blood sugar spike by 27% when taken 10 minutes before you eat. It will reduce that insulin spike that we're trying to get down by 13%. Because it's food, you guys, this is not like some of those medications where you can't double up the dose, you're going to cause damage. Hey, Karma Bear. You do 2 of these before a meal because maybe you're having pasta or pizza or something that's higher in carbohydrates. This will reduce the sugar spike by 28%, but it will reduce that insulin spike by 27%. So now you have this protection from that high level of insulin all the time, and now you're starting to get better. That's how people like A. Marie have been able to take her triglycerides down from the 260, 264, I think she said, down to about 89 on the system. I was on 10 different medications, and my triglycerides were about that high now, and they're now down around 100. And all I've done is the system. Now, some people will do very low carb, which is great. If that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do. Dr. Fung, Dr. Bickman, I believe that Dr. Yao and Dr. Lee talk about that as well. But if you don't feel like that's attainable for you now, what I want is for this to be easy for you to get started and start to see healthier you. And then you can decide, how much you want to take this to either side, okay? So for me, when I started, I was in a position where I was driving for Lyft and Uber. I was barely able to make ends meet. I couldn't bring food in the car. I was in my car 9 to 10 hours a day. And so in the middle of the pandemic, in the middle of the night, the only thing that was available for food was McDonald's or Jack in the Box drive-thru. So yes, I had like a Jack Jr. or something for meals every single night for a long time. And I still was able to lose 50 pounds and reverse my diabetes. Why? Because the system was putting back what's been stripped out so that my body could actually deal with the food I was eating. So that's the system and what's happening to us. So I dealt with you guys. I cannot wait for your stories either. I know there was some, okay, acid reflux, sleep apnea, bloating and low energy. I might miss the bloating and low energy, so remind me. I don't know what HMB is, but so sleep apnea. Let's talk about sleep apnea and insulin resistance. So we have neurological misfiring in the brain. We have fatigue, we have elevated cortisol consistently. You guys, I just did some videos on how the insulin resistance puts your body in fight or flight consistently. And so now you have this elevated level of cortisol. It doesn't have to be a lot, but that little elevation in cortisol all the time starts to cause problems in your body. But one interesting thing with sleep apnea, obstructive sleep apnea for a lot of people is this. When we're insulin resistant, there's a place in our brain that cues us to store more, because we have two types of fat on our body. We have the subcutaneous white jiggly fat that's like around your thighs and your arms and over the top of the muscle of your belly and all of those places, you know, that we just, around the face, that we just don't like, but maybe it's not as harmful, right? But there's another type of fat that's underneath the muscle wall in the belly that surrounds your organs, and it's there to cushion your organs and keep them warm, and it's called visceral fat or brown fat. It has mitochondria in it that are helping this keep you warm. Babies have a lot of that. That's why they have these little roly-poly bellies, because they're not out moving around enough to create enough heat to protect them. So they have this fat that's a warming fat when they're babies. As they get up and start moving, they start to thin down, right? But with insulin resistance, that visceral fat is not contained to below the rib cage. It can come up in your throat and in your tongue and build fat in your tongue. Excess fat on your tongue, visceral fat on your tongue, gives you a fat tongue bed, and doctors in sleep studies will actually tell you you have fat tongue, and that fat tongue will fall back in your throat when you're sleeping, obstruct your airway, and wake you up. That was me. I woke up 60 times an hour. That's no longer my existence. So, Shauna, you get, so here's the thing. You get me when you sign up with the system. So if you use my link, you get linked to me. I will send you emails. I will send you texts. I will send you a video on how to get started. You have my personal number where you can reach out to me and ask questions. I am working on a cookbook, the 6 simple steps. I'll tell you guys about that in a minute. I would download that because that gives you an overall view. We do not have dietary plans because this is supposed to be easy and sustainable. So let's talk about that factor as well. So I hope the sleep apnea part, that's kind of like a very brief, over the top explanation of it, but that happens a lot to people. You get that fat tongue, it blocks off your airway. Now you're not sleeping, and now your cortisol is rising even more, and now you're becoming more insulin resistant. Vicious cycle, right? So when you order the system, which is a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before you eat anything, by going to my link up here, you'll get access to me. You get a 90, yeah, Janelle, so uric acid, gout, I'm assuming you're talking about gout. There's Dr. Bickman addresses gout in here, and I'm going to try and throw gout in this week because it always gets missed, right? And all the other weeks I talk about the heart or the skin or the whatever. Gout always gets missed. So I need to honestly reread the exact action that this is causing excess uric acid and gout, but I will do a video on that later this week. But know that Dr. Bickman does address that in this book and links gout to insulin resistance as well. So, yeah. So, the tea, again, it's a tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink before I eat anything. Now, again, I just said this is meant to be flexible, right? So we're doing it in combination with the 16-8 fast. If you're interested in it, go to my profile, click on the link below the red lights. That'll get you there. But, so tea, this does not break your fast, by the way. This is the second tea I'm having today because I've been running, and I am exhausted. So guys over on Facebook, I didn't get this up before. Maybe it's gonna let me do it now. All right, so I'll show you right now. Let me fix this for everybody because I'm on YouTube and Facebook as well. Hey everybody over here. You guys are much more vocal on TikTok usually than Facebook. It's just a thing. I'm noticing a few things, which is great. As long as you guys are getting the knowledge, that's great. So let's take a look at my profile and we will show you right where to order it, okay? So if you go tap on my picture above this live or beside any video that I'm doing, when I'm done going live, you'll see it. Oh, there's all my videos, right? A week ago, they posted my video like multiple times. It was frustrating, but I didn't remove them all because there was a comment or something that needed to be addressed on each one of those. And I'm like, I don't want somebody to miss their comments. So if you go to my profile, you see these red lights right here. There's a link right under them. That's what you're going to click on. Okay. I hope you can find that. And then once you click on that, so red lights right under my picture and my profile, and that will take you here. This first one is what you want to click on, how to order the system. I'm sorry, my camera is dirty apparently. Hang on, guys. Blackout. Okay. You guys, I do have a website. You can, if you're having a hard time here, go to mishafayant.com and you'll be able to find a button to order there. The ebook I keep talking about, you can go on here and request the download there. I do have a Facebook group. I'm looking at some other platforms to create community and get you guys answers when I'm not live. But click on this. That's going to take you to the order page. Please understand that this is a direct sales company, so we don't use the big pharma salesman kind of people. It's people like me who are actually able to help you out. So make sure it says Michelle Fayant there. That's going to let them know that you requested it through me and I can reach out to you. And then you're just going to click the buy now. So then you'll have, I don't know what that weird fluctuation in my voice is today. You'll get the 30T for the month and 60 of the balance, okay? You get to choose between lemon or lemon ginger. You can have it hot or cold. Now, all the people who are on my list who are on subscription will get a copy, an e-copy of the recipes and the drink recipes and stuff that I'm putting together for Christmas. So, not for Christmas. The recipes are for every day, but as my Christmas gift to you. So if you're on subscription, you'll get that. But look, then you can get the pre-meal drink in apple crush or orange. And both of them taste great. Apple Crush is a little more tart than orange. Neither one of them are extremely tart. It does cost about $5 a day. When you put it on subscription, it's going to save you $5 a month. And you get free delivery, so that actually saves you about $15. You get this free hand mixer the first month. And there you go. That's where you order it. So my profile to this page, and then that will take you through, okay? I hope that answered it. So the system is meant to be easy and sustainable, you guys. This is not supposed to be hard. Now look, if you have really severe diabetes and you just want to get this under control quicker, then yeah, we'll coach you through. So what I do with when I'm eating out. You get this bottle. For me as a woman, a lot of times I will just take my big purse when I go out, and big purse isn't that big. But I will take this bottle, the cap seals nice and tight. I pre-fill it with water. I get there, what I do is this. I ask the waiter, how long is food service taking? They'll tell me, oh, it's taking about 20 minutes. Oh, it's taking about 10 minutes. So whatever time they tell me, about 10 minutes out, I will take it. Now, 10 minutes is optimal. If you take it at 10 minutes out and your food gets there at 15 minutes, does that destroy the plan? No, it doesn't. The gel matrix is still in your system. It's just that 10 minutes is optimal. If you take it 5 minutes before, it's not going to make you feel as satiated before you eat, but it still is going to work. So it's not like it's that rigid. I like to see people take it at 10 minutes because that's when you get the best from it, from the matrix, but it doesn't have to be exactly 10 minutes. And for me, when I'm out, what I do is I will ask the waiter or waitress for an extra glass of water with how much water I want to take it in. I don't like to take it in a lot of water. I see some people fill this bottle up and take this whole bottle. I don't want to drink that much water before I eat. So I'll just ask for an extra glass of water, no ice. And then my spoon, my fork, whatever, I'll put this in and stir it up and then drink it down. So, or if you're out to eat and your food comes sooner, you can just take your matrix and wait as long as you can, up to the 10 minutes, and then eat. It's actually really doable. I know at first it was weird for me to get used to. And guess what? 2 years on the system, I have ADD. I get talking to family and friends. We go out to eat. We're talking. The food comes. I forget. And all of a sudden, I'm eating and I'm like, oh, shoot. I didn't take my pre-meal drink. Okay? So I'll stop, mix it up, drink it right then, and know that the gel matrix isn't in there as thick as it should be, but it still is going to protect me from those carbohydrates and fats more than if I didn't have it. I'd even taken it after I got home from eating because I still want it to get in and around all the food that's still sitting in my stomach. Okay? So this is not about perfection, you guys. The system was actually designed, the protocol is actually designed to make it sustainable for us. Because if we all think that we have to be perfect every day, if you think you have to be perfect every day, are you going to stick to something? No. None of us are. Because we're going to have the first day that doesn't look right, doesn't do right, and then we're going to be like, well, damn, I'm just a screw up. I can't do this. I'm going to give up. I'm done. Okay, that's not what the system is about. We're about helping you be sustainable. So you can start where I was, and I still lost 50 pounds having one meal that was junk. I'm going to admit it. Don't like it, but that's the way it was. You can do very low carb. You can do whatever in between. If you want Indian food, eat Indian food. In fact, Wednesday night is my night with my grandson. We're having a couple of different types of chicken dish for Indian food, and some naan, and some I know I'm murdering the names, but I think it's called palak shat, a fried spinach. Amazing. We're gonna have that for dinner Wednesday. I can do that. I don't have to be on some boring chicken, rice, and broccoli diet every day. Now, if you want to eat that way and amplify your results, great. But you don't have to. You can have burgers and pizza once in a while. I'm not saying do it every day. I am actually taking photos of my food today. Yes, Crafty, and he does. My grandson is so sharp and he loves me so much. I just want to cry when I think about him. He's such a beautiful soul. If he sees me sit down to eat and he knows that I haven't drank my drink, he'll be like, Nana, you didn't drink your drink first. Because he knows this, it's not medicine, but this is like medicine to me. It helps keep me healthy, and he wants me healthy. He remembers when I couldn't get up and down off the floor and run with him. Crafty, guess what we did yesterday when he was here? So not only did I go to his Cub Scouts meeting and go out on a hike with him and do all the stretches and do all the stuff, which was amazing. I love doing stuff with that little guy. But when he was here before we went to the Cub Scouts meeting, I had bought him some shields and some little Nerf swords. he likes to sword fight with me. So the woman who couldn't get off the couch 2 years ago because she was in so much pain and had a walker and couldn't go up and down stairs was having sword fights all day in her house with her grandson. And I have an island in my kitchen. And so we were chasing each other around the island for hours until his little legs would get wobbly and I'd be like, okay, it's time for a break. And he would be so mad at me. I don't know where he gets that from, but we'd have to sit down for a little bit and then he would start in again. And it's just amazing to have that kind of life now when I didn't think I would. It's about $5 a day. So if you buy it as a one-time purchase, it's $159. If you do it on subscription, which is cancelable at any time, it saves you $5 plus it saves you the shipping. And then it's like $154, about the cost of a Starbucks a day, but now you're building health instead of, you guys, do you know and understand how much sugar is in those Starbucks drinks? Like, it's more than the whole bowl of cereal. Like, put a couple of bowls of cereal together and that would equivalent the sugar that's in the Starbucks drinks, okay? So, I don't know how many other grandpas I have in here, but if that's a struggle for you, like I'm a 3-year-old on the inside. I am a 3-year-old on the inside. I want to play and I joke too much and I'm like in closed doors with my family, I'm pretty freaking goofy. And my kids are just used to it. That like they're the adults in the situation. I'm like one of the other kids. But I couldn't get up and do all of that with my grandkids before, and I can now. And so it's an amazing life to have now. Going from thinking that I was going to die in my sleep in my bed to having sword fights and chasing my grandson around the house all day, that's amazing. So $5 a day, guys. It's just a tea in the morning, a pre-meal drink before you eat. It's made to be simple and sustainable. It's made so that you can have a real life. I do want to talk about this too, because I had a number of people who started this summer and I kept checking in on them and then they were finally like, well, I was traveling or I have this event to go to and so I didn't want to start yet. This is not like a normal diet. Don't be like, I gotta wait till next week till start. I'm gonna wait till Monday to start. This is meant to manage your everyday. So you start right now and guess what? When you have those big birthday celebrations, those big family get-togethers, Thanksgiving dinner, you're just going to utilize the system. And because it's real food, you don't have to just have one. So like for us, we have a scaled down version of Thanksgiving because my kids don't like I was raised with like the whole freaking table full of food, right? But I'll have a pre-meal drink before I eat my Thanksgiving dinner. If we have pumpkin pie, which is my daughter-in-law's favorite, or anything like that, I'll just have another one before I have the dessert to give me that little extra added protection. So we'll eat dinner. They like to wait an hour before they have dessert, so I'll wait an hour with them, and then I'll just have another pre-meal drink. I'll have my pie. If we decide to have snacks or, any of those dips and stuff, I'll have this. Do I do that every day? No. Can I do it once in a while and have a real life? Yes, I can. Okay? That's what's golden about this. You guys, you don't have to wait. And plus, look this is what goes in my bag with me on a plane. I drove south of here, not very far, about an hour and a half from where I am today. And I was in training all day on Saturday, but still away from home. Didn't have food with me, didn't have all of that. Couple of bottles of water, gas station water is fine. This in my purse, I'm managed. I don't have to worry that, I'm not home. I don't have that big salad because guess what? One of the only things close to us was Chick-fil-A. Yes, you can do Chick-fil-A salads with the grilled chicken and that makes it easy. I've seen that all over the place. You can do stuff like that. There are workarounds. But what did I have? I had the honey pepper pimento sandwich and I didn't worry about it because I took this. I still have my numbers. I still have my ketone numbers up every morning, which is great. That means I'm metabolically flexible. I still have my blood sugars managed every morning, which is great. I still have my blood pressure managed and I don't have to worry about being perfect. I can adjust to the situation and do what I need to do as I do it. I drove home. My grandson, he loves pizza, so I stopped. I'm on the East Coast, you guys. Can I say the pizza and the Italian food out here on the East Coast just hits different than what we got in North Idaho. Just does. Not even the same. Not close. So I don't go out to those places very often. I said it this morning. I got this a cold Italian sandwich, all these meats and vegetables and peppers and all this stuff on focaccia bread. And I got him a slice of cheese pizza. I was only able to eat half of that sandwich. That little boy, the little 7-year-old, chunked down the rest of it because he's growing. But I didn't have to worry about it. I had a protein shake in the morning that I've developed with our tools that is really healthy for me. Lots of fats, lots of protein, very low carbohydrate. And then I had Chick-fil-A for lunch and I had Italian for dinner. Does that sound like a horrible existence? No. Today, my midday meal was a white cheddar stuffed sausage with a couple of eggs and then some buffalo cheddar dip. And then dinner, I'll have smothered chicken and some either navy beans on the side or mashed potatoes on the side. Could you do that? Like, that's how I eat. But you guys, the thing is, okay, so let's talk about the 6 simple steps, right? The 6 simple tips to get you, would help with your insulin resistance, whether you're doing what I do or not. Okay, so start making steps as you can. So those 6 simple steps, whether you're on the protocol or not, the protocol is going to make it much easier, okay? But even if you're one of those people who says, I just can't afford that, I want you to get better too. So let's go over this. You want to do fiber first before you eat every time you eat. So, but it has to be a variety of fibers. And if you're confused about that, whether you can do the system or not, please reach out, I'll help, okay? So I don't want to worry about getting all of those fibers in or having salads or all of that stuff available. Dark leafy greens, by the way, and then a rainbow of colors. So that's what you need to get in for fibers, but I supplement because I know that my life doesn't always afford for me to have all of that. Then you're going to prioritize protein. Now, with science, you're going to find anybody that says A, and then you're going to find somebody that says B, and you're going to find somebody that says C, D, and E, okay? But the majority of science says we need protein. We need protein with fats. And I will explain why if anybody wants to know in a minute. But fiber first, then prioritize protein. You should be getting in about 60 to 80 grams for an average person of protein a day. A lot of the people that I work with are getting in less than 30 grams a day. So you want to prioritize protein, and I'm going to round back and tell you why. So fiber first, prioritize protein, and then eat healthy fats. Healthy fats are not canola oil, corn oil, safflower oil, those things. The healthy fats I'm talking about are extra virgin olive oil and avocado oil. Those 2 oils need to be in a very dark glass bottle. If they're coming in a plastic bottle, they're likely like cottonseed oil or something with enough of the other to call it that. Don't do it, it's going to make you sick. So extra virgin olive oil, coconut or avocado oil, coconut oil, butter, ghee, and the animal fats that come naturally on your meats. And yes, your egg yolks, you can have egg yolks. Those fats you want to make sure you're getting in. I do like to have cheese as a healthy fat. I can tolerate dairy. Now that I've gotten the insulin resistance under control, my dairy intolerance has gone away. Wow. All right, so fiber, protein, fats. Limit your carbs. We're going to go over what carbs are in a minute. Do some time-based eating or intermittent fasting. And then you want to move your body. So I'm talking about aging a lot this week. You guys, your muscles take up a lot of insulin if they're active. So one good way to become more insulin sensitive and reverse this whole cycle is to be more active. But I get it. I was one of the ones, like I had been a world champion athlete. I used to work out 6 days a week, 3 hours a day, was still having insulin resistance. But I got to a point where I was in so much pain, I couldn't move. I would get up, go from the bed to mixing some kind of crazy drink, based on the medical medium's work with berberine and black seed oil and wild blueberries and all that stuff in it. And then I'd be like back on the couch because I hurt so bad. It hurt to exist. So I get that it's hard to move, but move where you can. And the more you can move, the more you should move, because it's going to help you become more insulin sensitive. So fiber, protein, fats, limit your carbs, do some time-based eating, stop eating all the time. We just don't need food in our face all day long, okay? And then move your body. Those are the 6 simple steps. The ebook that I have goes over them in more detail. It talks about those fats again. It talks about, you'll get a list of proteins that are high quality proteins. So that's my gift to you guys. So go download it. If you decide to do the system and make it more sustainable, great. If you don't, great. Just start following those simple tips and start to get better, okay? All right, so now we're going to go back over each one of those because I get off track. You guys, I apologize. I do know. I feel like I should have somebody over here with a gentle whip saying, get back on track, Misha. Fiber. It takes a variety of fibers, right? So this has soluble, unsoluble fibers in it that are helping to slow down those foods that I eat when I eat, so that I don't have the insulin spikes. Now, yeah, you can do it eating raw foods. It's a lot more difficult. Like I said, last year I went to Thailand. In the airports, there was just no place to find those foods. So I'm on a plane for 17 hours. I'm in an airport for 14 hours. I'm on another plane for 11 hours. There's just no opportunity for those things where I was. So I supplement. It mixes in water. I know that it's protecting me. Do I still eat a good amount of fiber besides this? Yes. But I was listening to another doctor who's not a proponent of this system. But what he was saying is the amount of fiber that you get in this twice a day, just that amount extra of the right kinds of fiber, he said would increase your longevity by 10 to 15 years. Just by adding fiber back into our diets, because it's a real problem. It's the one nutrient, and he said more so, he said everybody's so focused to talking about protein and how much we need protein to be healthy, and we forget to talk about fiber, and it really is the key to our health. This is from another doctor that I wasn't even expecting to talk about it, but it made my heart happy to hear him talk about it. So that's the fiber piece. If you guys have questions about that, let me know. We're going to talk about protein, right? So I aim to get around 26 to 30 grams of protein in at a meal. If I'm going to hit that 60 grams of protein, I need to do that. But protein, if you're not up and active, your body's not utilizing that protein. If you're too insulin resistant, your muscle cells aren't getting the cues for that protein uptake to happen in your muscles. So you have muscle wasting. So the protein balance is you have to be careful. If you're sedentary and you're trying to be like, I'm going to be healthy, so I'm going to eat 120 grams of protein, what happens when you overeat protein is your body takes up the protein that it needs to maintain the muscles that you have, or the energy level that you're utilizing the muscles at. The rest of it either gets pooped out or it gets stored as fat. So excess protein can be making you fat. Okay. Now, I talk about fat and protein together a lot. So the interesting thing is, do you guys want to know why fat and protein need to be ingested together? Why it's so important to not have high amounts of protein and then eat a lean diet? Because there's one thing that was a big problem for a while, especially in the CrossFit community, that is resultant of people getting too much protein, too much water in their cells, and not getting enough fat in their day. Does anybody want to take a gander at what that is, or do you want to know why you have to have fat? Thank you, Crafty. So, look at your muscle cells. If you cut into a piece of meat, you'll see these little white membrane around the muscles, right? So that membrane is made up of fat. Fat keeps that membrane flexible and pliable so the muscles can grow and swell when they're working and not break. When you don't have enough fat in and you have way more protein, that muscle cell swells and swells and swells. And now that membrane around it is like a really fragile balloon, and that muscle wall swells and pop goes the balloon, pop goes the membrane, and you have rhabdomyolysis, and you have this muscle that's just swollen and extending into parts of the body it shouldn't be, and it's not contained anymore. So be careful of things like creatine if you're not getting in enough fats. Okay, and understand that every time you eat fat, you need to have, or eat protein, you need to have a fat with it for your body to utilize the protein in the right way and protect you from those kind of things happening. Okay, as hunter-gatherers, we didn't go kill an animal or and get that protein and then start like carving all the fat away. No, they wanted all the fat on there. By the way, the fat's what makes it tasty. When they started selling you down this river of low fat everything, do you know how they overcame the taste problem in food? Do you know how they fixed that? Because there's two things that really give your food flavor besides salt. There's two main things that they use to flavor your food. Fat is one. Yes, Coach Dale, sugar is the other. So every time you see a food that's low in fat, they're putting in sugar and chemicals to give you flavor back. So how about we start understanding that those fats that I'm talking about are healthy for you. You need them, your body wants them, especially when you're utilizing protein, and then you are able to take in less sugar. So the other interesting thing, I want to talk about a couple of things here while we're talking about this. Proteins, remember, a part of those proteins are going to get converted into sugar and get stored as fat if you're not utilizing them. So proteins spike your insulin, but only about half as much as a carbohydrate does. Proteins, though, still spike your insulin. Now, when we look at foods that are satiating, and we look at macros. In your food, there's three major components called macros. That's fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Fibers fall in carbohydrates, okay? So proteins are the most satiating of those three macros, meaning they make you fuller quicker and they keep you fuller longer. And then if we were to do a scale, which I should actually do, the proteins keep you fuller longer, and they spike your insulin half as much as carbohydrates. Fats are about midline on the satiety scale. They don't keep you as satiated, but they also don't spike your insulin. Now, where we have a problem is sugars both spike your insulin and don't keep you satiated. Sugars move right through you. You get hungry right away, but now you have an insulin level that's high. So in order, the way you want to eat your foods are in the way I have them listed in that list. Fiber first, then protein, and when you're looking at your plate, this is how you're going to attack your plate. Fiber first, protein, fats, and carbohydrates. Now, I do my vegetables and my fruits last because I utilize this fiber before I eat. So I do this fiber, and then when I sit down to eat, it's protein first. So that big hunk of steak, don't eat your potato first. Don't eat your green beans first. Eat the steak first with all the fat on it, and then go to those vegetables and potato if you're going to have it and all of that stuff. That's going to get you fuller quicker, spike your insulin far less than anything. Now, when we talk about insulin spikes, Dr. Bickman talks about, and a number of other doctors talk about cortisol and your circadian rhythm. So I've heard it said, and I understand because I've been there too. I've not understood things and misspoke a couple of times in the past as well, and I'm sure I'll find new science that I have to go back and adjust. But your cortisol levels are up and down throughout the day. The highest point your cortisol is going to be at generally is first thing in the morning or just before you wake up. It's a thing called the dawn phenomenon. So cortisol is supposed to like get you up and going, right? So your body is innately intelligent, and just before you wake up, your body's going to cue cortisol, which is going to cue blood or sugar in the blood. So if you're having high blood sugars first thing in the morning, wait 2 hours and then see, because it could be that you have this really great response where your body's trying to wake you up, and it's dumping sugar back into your bloodstream so you have energy to get up and go. Okay, so first thing in the morning, yes. So you have this cortisol level that's higher in the morning. Now, you also, when cortisol is present, convert more or have higher insulin spikes. So first thing in the morning, you're most likely to have a more insulin-driven response to food you eat than any other time in the day. So if you wake up in the morning and you're having fruit and you're having cereal and you're having juice, now that insulin response is on hyperdrive because of that dawn phenomenon. So the last thing you want to do for your first meal of the day is have high carbohydrates. You want to make sure that you're getting in the proteins and the fats and allowing that insulin driven by that dawn phenomenon of cortisol to stay down. Somewhere about midday, your insulin response to the same food calms down a little bit. In the afternoon, the insulin response to those same carbohydrates is about its lowest. So the afternoon is when you should be getting your carbohydrates in, because that's when the insulin response to it's going to be the least. So if you start off the day with proteins and fats, you're starting off being more satiated, less likely to overeat. And then you have, we're doing 2 meals a day on this particular protocol. So my first meal is always high in proteins and fats. My next meal, the second meal in my day, because of the lessened insulin response to that meal, if I'm going to have rice or potatoes or a croissant or anything like that, I'm going to have it on my second meal when my body's natural cortisol response to spiking my insulin is much lower than any other time of the day. I hope that helps. Does that make sense? Does anybody have questions about what I just said? So carbohydrates should never be your first meal or the morning meal. They should always be the afternoon meal, because just naturally your body's going to respond, have a less insulin response to it at that point in the day than any other part of the day. The morning, it's going to have the highest insulin response to any of your foods, so stick to proteins and fats. Okay, so that will help many of you just start getting things under control anyway. Archie, you're on insulin and metformin. That breakfast, if that's your breakfast, that's your problem. Okay, that's your problem. Grapes are high in the glycemic scale. Yogurt, if it's not just plain Greek yogurt, and even plain Greek yogurt, which I use once in a while, still spikes your insulin. Apricot, high in the glycemic scale, going to spike your insulin. Prunes, probably better, but a prune is also really high in sugars, spiking your insulin. Okay, yes, it is. So a cheese, and we love cheese and grapes together. I don't see a lot of protein in there, so that's a problem. Are you type 1 or type 2 diabetic? I'm assuming that you're type 2 if you're utilizing metformin, because you shouldn't be having it if you're type 1. So do you know that if your body's already putting out too much insulin as a type 2 diabetic, Dr. Bickman, not my words, Dr. Bickman's words, this is what he educates doctors on. When he tells doctors who are diabetic doctors and talks to them about metabolism, he says this: when you're giving your patients insulin that are type 2 diabetics, you're making them fatter quicker, you're making them sicker quicker, and you're killing them quicker. They already have too much insulin in their system. You guys, your pancreas is already working too hard to produce something that you're resistant to. Now you're loading up more of what you're resistant to in your body. What logic does that make? Now that's what your doctor has told you to do, so you've trusted them and you've done that, but I would invite you to find another doctor. Okay? So, no, yeah, 2 times now on metformin and insulin. So I never got put on insulin. I was on metformin, couldn't tolerate it. Yes, okay, so that you see what I'm saying. And if you look at your injection site, because I know you're supposed to rotate them, but most insulin dependent type 2s are injecting in the same spot because it's reachable. You'll see that you have more fat around that injection site than anywhere else on your body. You may end up even have a little lump where there's more fat cells growing there. Okay? So look for somebody who can help you with that. Now I have people who've been on insulin and metformin who are now not on either one. I'm not on metformin at all. I have a number of type 2 diabetics who are completely off of their insulin, and the system just has a number of people anyway that are off of insulin as type 2 diabetics. It's not necessary according to Dr. Bickman. It's actually causing more damage than good, and probably part of the reason why you're being hospitalized. So this is important, Archie. If you want to understand what's really making you sick, you've got to understand that you've got to get the insulin levels down, not increase the insulin levels, okay? So this insulin resistance is driven by too much insulin. Got to get that down. So what Dr. Bickman, Dr. Fung, Dr. Yao, Dr. Pradeep, all of these guys talk about is fiber. Okay, fiber is been stripped from our foods, and the one thing that we naturally have, it's a dietary disorder. So why are they giving you medications to fix a dietary disorder? Has anybody ever been fixed by medications when it was their food causing the problem? I don't know of one. Okay, so we've got to address the food, not the medications. Okay, so we start to put fiber back in. That's why we do the fiber matrix 10 minutes before we eat, every time we eat. Now our gut has this matrix in it that's not allowing us to be as hungry right away. It's coating the food like it was always supposed to be done, and then it slows down the delivery of that food into our system, slows down those sugar spikes, slows down the insulin spikes because the sugar's not spiking as high, and now we start to become more insulin sensitive. So fiber first, prioritize protein, eat, yep, I agree with eating meat. If you're not a carnivore though and you're doing vegetarian, this still works. So the cool thing with this is people who love meat, this works for. People who are vegetarian, this works for. People who are pescatarian, this has worked for. Psyllium husk is really hard on your gut in high amounts. It's good to make you poop, but it's not good to regulate your sugars. Again, this is the fiber I supplement with. So fruit, if we want to talk about fruits and what fruits you should eat, right? Let's dive into that really quick too. Throw away the fruit juice. Throw away the fruit juice. Throw away the fruit juice. So fiber gel doesn't do it either. So again, I'm going to tell you, go to my link, get this. It's the only scientifically designed product on the market that does what we're talking about. Not hundreds of studies, but dozens of studies on this that show that. It's in the PDR because even though it's food and not a medicine, it does what I'm telling you it does. Metamucil's not in there, fiber gel's not in there, benefiber's not in there, none of those are in there. So you can ask me those all day and I'm just going to keep telling you no. Okay, so fructose, yes, fruit has fructose. Now, fructose is okay in small amounts when it's wrapped in a lot of fiber. The problem is our fruits have been changed and modified so much that we've stripped out the fiber. There's good components in watermelon. There's good components like bromelain in pineapple, but we've modified them to the point that the fibers that are supposed to slow down that fructose from hitting our system have been removed, and now we're getting this fructose to our liver quicker than ever. We have 6-year-olds who have non-alcoholic fatty liver because they're drinking fruit juice all the time. Okay, fructose gets digested by your liver more than anything else outside of alcohol. That's why we have kids with this problem. So we have to be careful with fructose. Fruits that you can eat while you're trying to get this under control. According to Dr. Lee, who wrote food as medicine, which I just discovered him last month, and he blew me away. He talks about a lot of the same stuff I'm talking about in a little different way, but I'm not a doctor, guys. I'm just a normal person like you guys. I just got really sick from all of that and got better. Pears, number one. Pears is his number one fruit that he would recommend. I love pears. Pears are high in fiber, so going to slow down that fructose delivery and the sugar delivery in your system. They're lower in sugars overall than many other fruits. And they have the added component of having this thing called chlorogenic acids, which are really great for your metabolism. And it's one of the components that can cross into the brain and make changes in the brain. So increased mood, decreased depression, anxiety, brain fog, chlorogenic acid helps with all of those. That's pears. The number 2 on his list as far as fruits go, because we're not saying you can't have fruit. I'm just saying be careful with it. Do I still like to have pineapple? Yeah, I just have it as a treat. Do I have bananas? As a treat. Okay, so pears and then berries. So you want to stick with the seedy berries like strawberries, blackberries, raspberries. Blueberries are a little bit higher in fructose than the other berries, but still good. Okay, pears, then berries, then the other fruits. Watermelon, I love cold watermelon on a summer day just like anybody else, but I affectionately call it sugar water in a shell because that's basically what it is. Crack open a watermelon, you got some sugar water in a shell, all right? Nope, Archie, no, protein and fats, protein and fats, protein and fats. Where is salad in that? So unknown. I have baked potatoes occasionally at night. Like you guys, to be honest, there's one meal that I learned when I was younger. I still love it. I don't do it all the time, but I will occasionally do it. I just sometimes maybe I'll have 2 of these before I have the baked potato. Yes, in the evening the potato is better, or in the afternoon. Okay, I like to put some chicken on it, some cheese on it. Some liquid cheese on it, some sour cream, some tomatoes, some onion, load that potato up, and that's like, I love that meal. But I'm aware that it's higher in sugars, so I'm going to make sure I get my fiber in to help regulate those sugars. So you can use this. I have a number of people who did shift work. I did shift work when I started, and you just shift the hours to fit your day. So you have sleeping hours, you have waking hours. We're just going to shift everything to that time. Before you go on shift, you're just going to have your tea. It's going to help you feel awake and energized and not hungry. And then you're going to have 2 meals during the day. Probably one, I know I have a shift worker who has his first meal within a few hours of him being on shift, and then his second meal before he goes home, and then he doesn't eat again. Okay? So you just eat plain. And so like you can have more fancy food, you can have more plain food. Your best bet is to eat a little bit more plain. You guys, when we're training our diet, our palate to have all this diverse, like crazy flavors and stuff, we're training ourselves to be hungry. I don't eat what I would call plain. Again, you guys, today my meals are, because I'm doing a different type of fasting. I plan to do some videos on it, but I'm doing a 36 and 12 style of fasting for a month to help me heal from 40 years of metabolic abuse. Okay, so my breakfast this morning, I've developed a couple of shakes that I like. Because like this morning, it was a tablespoon of coconut oil, a quarter cup of heavy cream, a tablespoon or 2 of cream cheese, some chocolate protein, some tablespoon of unsweetened peanut butter, and then some ice and water, and that was my breakfast. Only about 400 calories, high in fats, high in protein, low in carbohydrates. Did it have to be a savory breakfast? No. And I do that right now because my mornings are so busy, I just don't have time to fry up food. Now, my second meal of the day, because I have 3 meals a day on this type of plan, I won't eat tomorrow, I'll eat again Wednesday. Today is a fed day, so I'll have 3 meals. I don't limit what I eat, and I'm still feeling better and having markers that are showing better. My measurements are going down, my swelling is going down, the weight loss that was stalled is going down, my hair is getting thicker. So all those markers are getting better. I'm still utilizing the system, but my second meal today was a sausage that was embedded with white cheddar, and then I had 3 eggs over easy, and sausage, the eggs, and then I did have a couple of small rounds of baguette with some cheese-based buffalo dip. It was primarily cheeses, so fats. My meal that I'll have here in about another hour, and then I'm done eating until Wednesday, is a chicken breast that I fry in butter with cheese on it, a white cheese on it. I think there's gorgonzola on this one, and then it's got mustard, or not mustard, sauteed mushrooms, garlic, tomatoes, sauteed spinach, and some either mashed potatoes or navy beans on the side. And that's my meals. It's not, you guys, this is not bland, it's not plain, it's not suffering. You don't have to suffer, you just find ways to make sure you're getting protein in. So all of my meals, if you'll notice, the focus was on protein, right? And then I was getting in healthy fats, and then there was less carbs. Now I'm eating 3 meals today, so I still have my fiber matrix before every time I eat to make sure I'm still getting that gut health in while I'm going. So the fiber matrix has prebiotics in it, which are feeding the probiotics, which, like somebody earlier was talking about their IBS getting better, that's partly how. So we're rebalancing the gut microbiome. The fibers are necessary for that. So that's part of the goal. You guys, again, was it Dr. Lee? No, it was not Dr. Lee. It was another published physician who was talking about diet, and he again talked about the fact that we do not get in enough fiber. Everybody's so focused on protein, and I want us to make sure we're getting in enough protein, but most of us are just not getting in enough fiber. And the studies, and I will try and find the studies he's talking about, but the studies are saying even if you're mainly carnivorous, you still need the fibers to build that gut microbiome. There are millions, trillions of microbiota inside our gut. And if we're not feeding them the ones that we need to be healthy and in balance, we're causing a negative balance in our gut. We start to have rot in our gut. We start to have bloating. We start to have gas. We start to have a number of other problems going on in the gut. So it's important to keep that healthy, and we've got to feed it with fiber. So fiber is really the key in all of this. All of it comes together. It's a system that works together, but the fiber is really the key. So, make sure that. So Archie, I hope that we got that answer. So you guys should start to move away from fruit. Okay, move away from fruit, move away. Like, yes, have it. But this whole idea of having fruit as our meal is what's making a number of people sick. That amount of fructose puts a load on your liver that starts to cause alcoholic fatty liver disease and cirrhosis and a number of other things, including leading you to having gallstones and getting a gallbladder that has to be removed, which is what happened to me, and then you're sick with a number of other things. So insulin resistance looks different for me now with no gallbladder because, you guys, I want to say this. A number of people are being counseled by their doctors to have their gallbladder removed. Check with another physician to see if that's really the only option you have. Once you remove that gallbladder, it starts to have dysregulation of your thyroid hormones. It starts to have dysregulation of cortisol and insulin. So you're starting to become more insulin resistant. There's a reason why so many women who've had their gallbladder removed in pregnancy end up obese after pregnancy because it drove them into insulin resistance. And now it's a battle that you just continually have because you don't have a gallbladder there. Okay? So be careful with that, understand that that's going on in your body, and understand that we want to have a healthy body and we want to take care of the body we have, and it doesn't have to be so complicated. I play with all kinds of fasting and stuff because I'm on a mission to fix the liver that's been damaged, to make sure that I don't lose any more joints. I've had 3 joint replacements already in life. I don't want to have any more. Interesting thing with insulin resistance, both of my hips have been replaced and my left knee. My right knee was supposed to be replaced in 2022. It no longer hurts, pops, or clicks. The meniscal space in that knee is even and normal now. The synovial fluid in that knee is normal now. So both the meniscus and the synovial fluid, which makes the lubricant in your joints, are at risk when you're insulin resistant. So you start losing those tissues and those fluids. Now you have osteoarthritis. You end up with like rheumatoid arthritis. I had so many bone spurs in my hips and the one knee from all of this that I was told I had to have them. The hip joint for me was cracking, and if we didn't, they actually had to go in and put mesh in my hip joints to seal up those cracks so that they could do the hip replacement, so that they could save my leg. All of it most likely driven by being insulin resistant for years. Yeah, so that osteoarthritis, with that, so the osteoarthritis, you're not getting enough of the clues from insulin for those tissues to build, so they're starting to thin out and go away, including your synovial. And when you start getting the clues back into those joints, they can regenerate, especially if you're keeping the sugars down. But Archie, every food that you kept putting on in here was sugar, sugar, sugar. When my mind saw all the foods that you kept typing in, can I have this, can I have this, can I have this? It's sugar, 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 sugar. That's what it translates to in my brain. So one of the things you need to understand is that you've got to slow that down, start paying more attention to proteins and fats, and limit those sugars that you're getting in, and give your body a chance from this. Now, the rheumatoid arthritis, inflammation. So inflammation and insulin resistance, just like cortisol and insulin resistance, it's interesting. Because if you have inflammation, so say you have an injury, you have a surgery, you have anything like that that's causing inflammation in your body that's not dietary driven, it increases your risk of insulin resistance. Insulin resistance increases inflammatory response throughout your body. Negative feedback loop, right? So you guys understand, like, I can't even tell you how many surgeries I've had. I've had so many injuries. I have over 130 inches of scarring across my body. I've had like 20 broken bones. And so that put me at risk for insulin resistance in itself. But I'm doing well now. So slices of bread. Archie, for you, I honestly, I don't know enough about you, but bread is probably not your friend right now. When you get this under control, you may be able to go back to having bread once in a while. But if you really want to get your health under control, metformin, insulin, with all the things, hospitalization twice, if it was me, I would do away with the bread for a few months, if not a year, and see how much better you get. If you feel like you have to have it as a treat every once in a while, fine, double up on the pre-meal drink that you have before you eat to help reduce those insulin spikes. Those processed grains, you guys, are turning into glucose in your system quicker than anything. Keto bread is okay. I know one of my gals is using like the hero bread. Those are okay. But we're talking about things that are sustainable, that, like, what I like to talk about, keto bread is good. I haven't tried the hero bread, so I don't know. Maybe they've come a long way since I did keto, but when I did keto, a lot of the breads were so horrible. I would rather not have them than have them. I know they've come a long way. But I mean, I'm not that bad. So yeah, Abby, you'll have to get a hold of me. We can get it to you in South Africa, but it is a different thing because of your government. It's very different. So you just have to use the link to message me, and I can get you the information about how to get it. By the way, the products are available in like 34 countries worldwide, distribution centers across the world. I have customers in the UK, Ireland, France, UAE, Australia, New Zealand, and Jamaica as well. So you guys, it's all over, but some countries no, this is not that. I don't even know how to say that. I'm not familiar with high-low, so I'm not a doctor. Let's take a look and see what high-low is. Is high-low part of go-low? So, thank you, Abby. So, I'm knowledgeable to a point, guys. My thing is insulin resistance, and the one thing that helped me when nothing else was helping, I worked in doctors' offices, I worked with physical trainers, I worked with nutritionists. Nobody was able to get me better. By the way, for all the people who like to come in here and try and bring their smoke, I did have nutritionists and a guy who trains bodybuilders write programs for me that we followed very strictly, and I wasn't able to get better. And they were like, I've never had anybody like you. So it's true that it does come down to hormones, and it's not the same for everybody. Okay. The one thing that has helped me is this. In the US, it's about $5 a day. I know you're a ZAR, but I don't know how much the product is in ZAR. Okay. So you'll have to text me after, and I can get you some information on how to get it. $5 a day, you guys, 90-day money back guarantee. It does help. It's helped a number of people. My pictures, let's see. There it is. So this was me 2 years ago in 2021. Gotta fix this over here for Facebook. All right. So 2021 in the kind of mottled black shirt. All right. Almost 270 pounds. Walker, cane, disability plates. Could no longer work in the doctor's office because my legs were giving out from underneath me. I was in so much pain. I never knew whether I was going to be in any kind of mental shape to be able to come into work during the day. I started driving Lyft because I could go out as I was able to tolerate my pain and work without being on my feet all day. And that's where my life was. I was falling apart. And I did metformin. I had doctors working with me. I had physical trainers working with me. I had nutritionists, and I wasn't getting better. And I stumbled on the protocol that I keep talking to you guys about, a tea in the morning and a pre-meal drink before I eat anything. And it changed my life. 50 pounds down. Okay. I'm now with the no gallbladder. I have some additional issues, so I'm working on fixing those along with the insulin resistance, and I'm starting to drop weight and get rid of more inflammation now. Yeah, that's the thing is I tell my story because there are so many people out there like me who've been to doctors, who've asked for help, who've done all of these things and didn't get any help. So my own doctor writes me from time to time and has sat in on my lives, has watched my videos, and thanks me for getting the knowledge out that I'm getting out. I've had nurses and other physicians write me and say, thank you for the work you're doing. So once in a while I run into a crabby person who just wants to fight, and I'm not all about that. Look, they have a different opinion than me, then go fine. But I suffered it. I got better from it. I started diving in and listening to doctors who specialize in this area. That's the information I'm bringing you guys, not just because I decided to stub my toe on a door and say, hey, I believe this now. So it's a tea that I have in the morning. I think I threw my tea, you guys. I get a little animated sometimes. So a tea that I have in the morning, it shuts down my hunger. It helps me feel full, helps me kick out ketones, so I'm burning fat for fuel. It gives me mental clarity and energy, has anti-cancer, antioxidant properties in it. That's how I start my day every day. And then even on days when I'm fasting all day, I will have this tea all day because it doesn't break the fast. Then 10 minutes before I eat anything, I have this pre-meal drink that just slows down the way that foods are delivered in my system to help with the insulin spikes so that my body is starting to normalize. The tea is a highly purified and concentrated form of herbal mate. So this tea has 375 times the components of that chlorogenic acid in it than a standard bagged herbal mate tea, and I'm not having to steep it. I just pour it in water, hot or cold, and drink it, but I'm getting all the benefits of that 375 times the amount. Hand harvested, never machine harvested, so the leaves that get put into this are at the right time of ripeness. They're fire roasted to remove the properties that we're trying to get for you from the bulk of the plant, then concentrated, then taken to Switzerland to be put through a process called hyper pure, which removes any incidental environmental toxins, pesticides, some of the PAHs from the fire roasting. So now highly potent, highly pure form of herbal mate tea. You won't find it anywhere else. It has like a light lemon taste because that's what the herbal mate tastes like. And then this has a matrix of 7 different soluble and insoluble fibers, has some phytosterols and vitamins and minerals in it that are all there to support the metabolism and regulate how the sugars are hitting your system. Both of them, by the way, are found in the PDR. So they are prescribable by a doctor. I had a doctor here saying today, not prescribable. That's funny because we have a number of doctors who do prescribe this. So if you have insurance and your doctor will prescribe this for you, you can turn your receipt and that prescription into your insurance. And a number of people have been having this covered by their insurance because it is prescribable, even though it's food and not a medicine. Okay? Food, not medicine. Food, not medicine. So this is not causing damage. It's giving your body support, and that's the goal of it. Like, I hate medicines because I've seen so many people who started one medicine, they get put on another one, they get put on another one, they get put on another one. All of a sudden, they go from one medicine to 2 bags full of medicines, and that's it. Yeah, Rhonda, which part? The prescribable? So Francis says, I've been on 3 different programs and learning more, but the weight won't budge. Tried Ozempic for over 4 months, but only lost 7 pounds. Ouch. The sugar cravings were always there. You're on 1 metformin a day because you refused to take 2 and your doctor gave up on prescribing 2. You want off of metformin. Your mom died with dementia. Dementia is very much linked. Don't want to get dementia. Yes, your brain is not getting the nutrients it needs, and it's causing neural misfiring. So the neurons are not firing end to end in your system. They're firing out into dead space, and so you're ending up with like brain fog, which ends up in dementia. You're willing to switch over to the program. Yeah. So Francis, I don't know if you saw the link. I'll drop it in there again. Plus, you guys, when you do this, you get to contact me. I get to coach you. Like, I was on the phone with the person who was having all the wrong foods and wondering why they weren't getting better, kind of like what Archie was doing. And it actually helps to have somebody who understands, like the timing. And you guys, my days, I fall asleep listening to science. One of the first things I do in the morning after I do my meditations is start listening to science. I am trying to figure out how to fix myself and along the way help as many people as I can. So if you use my link, then you get linked to me and I can help you, okay? And it's important. There's a lot of really wonderful people out there doing the system. Make sure you have somebody that you can get along with that actually knows what they're talking about so they can help you. The tea is fabulous, Rhonda, right? Yeah, so Rhonda, if you're already on the system and your doctor will do it, uh, just have them look it up in the PDR and have them write you a prescription. I was lucky to have a good enough relationship with my doctors, and I've always been self-aware enough that I just went into my doctors and said, ABC is happening with me. This is what I think is going on. Let's take a look. And there was only one who was not even, I think she was a nurse practitioner who was like, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, oh, yes, I do. And my doctor came back and she was like, oh, I'm so sorry about that. And lo and behold, the things that I was trying to tell the nurse practitioner that I thought were happening was what was wrong. So I'm not saying that I'm just very self-aware. And I like to look into the science. I'm not super scientific. I am way too ADD for that, but let's get everybody healthy, right? So get your doctor to write a prescription and you can see if you can get it covered. Welcome everybody. So Archie, yeah, and you guys, it is really important to have a coach who can help you. So I want to say this in all honesty and earnesty, that when you go to Amazon, eBay, Walmart, there are no authorized sellers there. You are not going to get the 90-day money back guarantee. You are not getting the subscription price. You're not getting the low price guarantee. Every person who bought from, they'll call me like, hey Misha, I've been on the system for 2 months and you have never contacted me. And I'm like frantically looking in my back office and I'm like, well, I don't see you there. So then I finally get from them that they ordered. This is not a pyramid scheme, Abby. No, this is a science company. We were, used to be Rexall Drug. We started out in 1903. A number of years ago, the products were on the shelves in like Walgreens, Walmart, drugstores, but we found that without the support of someone like me, hi Lena, that people just weren't able to understand and work through the system. So they pulled it off the shelves and started going to a direct selling method so that somebody like me could personally help somebody like you and get you the help you need. Okay. Oh, the science teacher. It's not an over-the-counter generic herbal tea. Did you miss me saying that this tea, you guys crack me up, y'all. Okay, science teacher, what you're missing is that this tea is concentrated. It has 375 times measured the chlorogenic acids in it of a normal bagged yerba mate tea. Now, it's also hand harvested. You don't need a prescription, but it is sold through direct sales. So if I am within you, you just go to my profile and click on that. Right under the red lights is where you're going to be able to order it. We have distribution in South Africa. You just have to get a hold of me. It's not generic over the counter. Well, no, it's in the PDR. It would be over the counter, but it's not generic. It's not like herbal time or sleepy time tea or whatever. So 375 times the components that are getting to the brain and helping you with regular dopamine and serotonin uptake, with wellness scores. In fact, this tea, this particular one, had a short study done. They're doing a long study now where they had a group of people drink the tea for 30 days and their wellness score increased by 75%. It's 375 times the strength of normal yerba mate. So go buy yerba mate tea and steep 375 bags a day. Get all the pesticides and toxins in that tea. Take all the time to do that, to try and get even what's in here, because it's not standardized. You can't guarantee that it will. This is standardized and it's purified, so you're not getting all those toxins. It's your choice, science teacher. I'm not going to continue to argue with you. Go buy 375 bags of yerba mate tea a day and drink them, okay? And then try this, which is once a day, mixed in some water, easy peasy, done, without all the toxins. It's your choice. You get to do, Well, because you know what you're doing. You very well know what you're doing, sir, ma'am, whatever. And I'm not about that, okay? It's not a prescription. It's not a generic over the counter either. You can only get it through somebody like me. And so, how long did it take me to lose with the Unimate? So it's Unimate and the pre-meal drink. They're synergistic system. It's a protocol. So to lose 50 pounds from here to here, it took me about 5 months. I didn't lose. I disagree with what you're trying to present it as. So I did not lose any weight for the first 6 weeks that I was on the system because I was gaining muscle and losing fat. So my measurements changed. Yes, if you purchase through my link, Francis, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee from the company, and I would recommend that anybody who's going to do this give themselves 90 days because it is a real food product that you're going to want to give your body a chance to utilize. So, but what happened was I was losing a ton of inches and I didn't even realize it. My clothes were fitting looser, but I was so focused on the number on the scale that I didn't pay attention to that. Now, at 6 weeks, that kind of started to normalize, and I started losing more fat along with the weight. So my body was shrinking, the weight on the scale was going down, and by 5 months in, I had lost 50 pounds. This was somebody who could not lose 5 pounds no matter how hard I tried, doing the medical medium, doing veganism, doing keto, doing all of that. And so when I added these tools into my life, that's the only thing I changed. I dumped all of the medications that I had, 10 different medications, and I got my life back. You weren't saying why it's a prescription, and maybe I misread what you're saying. No, I said they can prescribe it and that it can be covered. I have people who are getting it covered by their insurance because it is prescribable. So that's where we're misfiring. So it's a food product, it's not a medication, but it is prescribable. It's in the prescriber's digital reference, and a number of insurances have been covering it. Wrong. Okay, so what tools did I add? So I added a tea in the morning, and then I have a pre-meal drink before I eat anything. I also do some intermittent fasting. So what it looks like for most people is this. I do normally 16-8. Science teacher, I have not lied at all. Go look in the PDR and check it out. I'm done with you now, sir. Grace to you. Amazing that you're here, but I'm done. Okay. You guys, if people don't want to hear, they don't want to hear. The fact is, I have doctors who prescribe it. We have a cardiologist in Wisconsin who's prescribing it to every one of his patients. A number of them have been covered. Anyway, I'm not going to go over all of that. You guys can go find it in the PDR. Your doctor can find it in the PDR. It is everything that I said. And there's a unicityscience.org where you can find all the science besides finding it in the PDR. So the tea in the morning shuts down my hunger, gives me energy, gives me mental clarity, gives me I blocked him. It's just, some people, it's gaslighting, right? Gaslighting. And I'm sorry, guys, I should have blocked him long ago, but I like to give people a chance, and I shouldn't have. I knew from the beginning that he's just trying to pick a fight. So, the T, mental clarity, energy, gives me physical energy and clarity. Scientific studies show that it has increased energy by 10 to 13% and physical performance during exercise. We have a world champion powerlifter who is one of the scientists on the team who has helped develop this, and he uses it himself to help keep his fat levels down, to help keep his muscle levels up, to help keep his energy levels up. You're so welcome, you guys. It's just, you know what? It's just been one of those days, and it's the thing here is the universe is teaching me. God is teaching me. So I'm just going to learn through this, okay? And we're all going to move on and have an amazing day, and we're going to affect some people and get somebody's health back. So tea in the morning, and then before I eat anything, I have a pre-meal drink. So 3 packets in a day is a normal day. If you stop eating at 6 p.m., or we'll say 7 p.m. 7 p.m. is when you have your last meal. That's technically when you're fasting. When we're going to start your fasting window. So if you go to bed and sleep and you get up the next morning, by 7 o'clock the next morning, you've already fasted for 12 hours. But metabolically, during that time, the insulin levels have gone down, the glucagon has just started to come up, your gut has just started to reset, you're just getting into a state where you can burn fat at that 12-hour mark. So typically what we've been doing is then eating, which then spikes the insulin, stops all of that metabolic healing, and now we're back in the same loop. So what we're doing is saying, stretch that out to 16 hours. Now you have a chance for your body to start burning fat, for your body to start normalizing, for your gut to normalizing, and you can actually start to see some fat loss, some cellular turnover, all of that mildly, okay? At 16 hours, if you drink the tea, by the way, the tea does not break the fast for our purposes. We're talking about not spiking the insulin. So the tea, and Dr. Bickman actually was to help develop both of these tools. The tea does not spike the insulin or break your fast. So I have multiple of these throughout the day because I know that I'm getting good components into my brain, as opposed to if I was drinking soda or juice or any of that. And it's less than soda and juice and any of that. Then about noon, you're going to have your first meal, and you just proceed it with a packet of this mixed in about this much water. I use less water than this. Drink it down, wait 10 minutes, eat your meal. That's going to protect you from all the sugars and stuff that are converting from the food that you eat. It's actually just putting back what's been stripped out by the food industry in the first place. It's helping you feel full before you eat, helping slow down glucose spikes, helping slow down how the fats hit your system. It's not depriving you of any nutrients, and then it's helping you hold on to that food, so it's now making your meal kind of like time released, so you stay fuller longer. As a result, the insulin doesn't spike as high, it's lower, it can come down quicker, and now you start to become more insulin sensitive. You wait 4 to 6 hours, you do that again, then you go back into your fast for 16-hour cycle. I talked a little bit and I coach people on how to eat and when to eat. So proteins and fats your first meal, have your carbohydrates in your afternoon meal to fit your cortisol levels, and that's it. And you get to eat Mexican food if you like Mexican food, Indian food if you like that, Italian if you like that, the American fare if you like that, but you're just following some simple tips and rules along the way. Now, people who are extremely diabetic should probably drop down to about 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates a day to manage that in a quicker manner. Now, if that's not sustainable to you, then fine, do it the way you need to do it, and you'll get there. Okay, it's just going to change the length of time that it takes you to get there. So, Francis, insulin resistance makes more sense. Thank you. I hope so. Of 18.6, drink more water than you've ever drank and sleep much better. Thank you, Francis. And I look forward to helping you, because I've had a number of people who, like one of my friends was a bodybuilder, ate super clean, was already doing a little bit of fasting, was already like all of the stuff, but she was still having problems with bloating and diabetes. And behind the scenes, what she hadn't told anybody was that her doctor told her if something didn't change, that she was going to be deathly ill within a year. And I took the system to her, and she tried it, and she now feels better than ever, reversed her diabetes, is doing well, even though she's a competitive bodybuilder, she was still having the same problems or similar problems. You guys, this insulin resistance can affect type 1 diabetics as well. So it looks a little different, but we have a number of type 1 diabetics. I have a family member who's type 1 diabetic, and they utilize the system to help manage their insulin levels, which means for them that the load of fast-acting and long-acting insulin both is reduced for them, because again, the sugars are not hitting their system so quickly, causing those dangerous spikes for them. So it works either way, and You guys, I am going to head out. It's 5. Wow. It's been 2 hours since I've been on here. I'm going to take a moment, take a breath. Okay. I apologize to everybody that I let that person derail this for so long. I appreciate you for putting up with it all and hanging out and being willing to learn and listen. So here's the thing. If you guys resonate with what I say, I would be happy to help you. If you don't resonate with it, then you get to make the happy choice to move on and find what you do resonate with, okay? I'm not here to force anyone. But I also don't want to take away the opportunity for someone to heal when I have seen it do so much good for people. Coach Dale is one that's gotten so much better. She's lost so much weight, turned her health around completely. And you guys, this is important information. That's why we're on here talking about it. And everyone that's on my team that I know has a heart of service and really wants to help people. We all just want people to not have to go through the things that we went through and hopefully get information that we were never given so you guys can make better choices and start healing and hopefully have some people who never have to lose 3 joints and a gallbladder to understand that this is what's causing the problem. Thank you. Feel Great Queen, she's lost weight and her A1, holy cats, 9.8 to 6.4. That's amazing. Feel Great Queen. And how much weight did you lose? So you guys, on my lives at sometimes too, I will be talking about the whole gallbladder issue and how that affects your insulin resistance because that's what I'm struggling with. I'm upping my efforts to heal because my journey looks very different. Again, I think God, the universe, the creator has given me a different path so I can help a variety of people. So I'm willing to do that. So Coach Dale was so sick, right? That's the same with me. You guys, I know I said I was going to get off of here, but 60 pounds in 3 months. You guys see that? And it happens more often than you think, but it happens in a healthier way. Because with insulin resistance, when you go to normal weight loss methods, you're losing more muscle than you are fat. The good thing with the protocol that we're talking about is that it's allowing you to not just retain muscle, but start to build muscle while you're losing fat. And I'm not talking about bodybuilder muscle. I'm talking about the normal skeletal muscle that we should have on our bodies to just be real humanoids and have a real resistance. And Feel Great Queen's husband has lost 35 pounds as well. So Francis, thank you. You guys, I love helping, and that's why I do so much reading and trying to figure out all these things and adjusting as we go and answering questions as we go so that we can just affect as many people as possible. Coach Dale, 58 pounds off, and she's off of 4 meds, and she's reversed her type 2 diabetes. So I'm not 58 pounds down, I'm 50 pounds down. I'm off of 10 different meds, reversed my diabetes and my high cholesterol. In fact, my hypertension as well. But Dale, as I recall, a number of these things above described you as well. Feel Great Queen is off of all her meds too. You guys, it's real and it really does help. So I'll see you all at 8:30 in the morning. I'm going to try and get a video up today on some of the effects of aging and insulin resistance and aging today. So we're going to talk about fibromyalgia, bones, muscle, skin, hearing loss, memory loss, gout, all in this week. And then next week I'm going to talk about mental issues, as in anxiety, depression, panic attacks. It all links to insulin resistance. So we'll see you guys at 8:30 in the morning. Francis, I look forward to helping you. As soon as I see the order come through, I send you out a text and an email and a video to help you, and then let's hop on the phone when it comes in and get you started. All right, guys, thank you. And again, thanks for putting up with all that mess. I appreciate you. I love you all. And we'll see you in the morning.